Our next question is multifaceted concerning roadways, and I know we've spoken of it already, but we're about to delve deeper. The first facet is, are you for or against widening to 4 lanes for Sorrento Road, Blue Angel Highway, Gulf Beach Highway, and Perdido Key Drive? The second is, following Hurricane Ivan in 2004, and most recently the massive floods in April 2014, the Innerarity Point Road Causeway connecting Island's 3 subdivisions to the mainland road flooded and was underwater for days, cutting off residents from the mainland and emergency services. If elected, how would you propose to elevate the Innerarity Point Road Causeway?
Sure. Is that mine? For or against 4 laning? Blue Angel, Gulf Beach Highway, and Perdido Key Drive, right?
And Sorrento Road.
Sorrento Road. Blue Angel, yes. Gulf Beach Highway, parts of it. Sorrento Road, yes. Perdido Key Drive, absolutely not. Does that cover the 4 lane question? So, when we had, they split up the 4 laning of 292 into 2 major projects, from basically, in layman's terms, from the bridge south and from the bridge north. The funny thing is that from the bridge south is considered phase 1, and from the bridge north is considered phase 2. And one of the arguments for this is that we need to really improve our hurricane evacuation routes. Well, if you were here during Ivan, which I was, 3 days before the storm, there was nobody on the island. If we 4-lane the island before we 4-lane this, all we're going to do is expedite the period of time that it takes for you to get to the bottleneck. If in fact hurricane evacuation is the issue, and that is a valid argument, then we start where the 4-lane currently exists, and can we come back this way? And if we fixed all the problems and the issues between the freeway and Winn-Dixie, then let's have a discussion about 4-laning out there. Those 2 phases are very interesting. It's funny that they broke those up into 2 the way that they did, because we ended up in very short order. In 2 weeks' time, we had a citizen input meeting for each of those 2 things. The first one was for phase 2, the Sorrento Road part. The only dissent that I heard out of all the people who came was some issues with regard to to the median strips at some of the intersections that made access and egress into some of the businesses a little bit challenging. It was a 1-foot wide grass median strip, which we all know that's 1 foot. That's 12 inches of cigarette butts is how that actually works out. Okay, so that was the only bone of contention. Now, I talked to just about every single person who was in here for the meeting that talked about Perdido Key, and I heard lots and lots of issues. I actually found very few people that were for 4-laning Perdido Key. But the biggest argument that I heard for 4-laning Perdido Key was it takes too long. If you get behind somebody, it takes too long to get out there. Folks, look at the plan. The planned speed limit for the 4-lane on Perdido Key is 35 miles an hour. Okay? It's still going to take you a long time to get from one end to the other. It's just kind of silliness. But the point is that there was very little support among the people who came for that 4-lane. And when you get down to doing silly things to try to drive your point home, then you know you don't have much of a case. I tell these boys all the time, boys, there is no smart way to do a dumb thing.
Amen.
Heard that before? When you start presenting alternatives, such as putting a 4-lane out onto Ono Island, putting a 4-lane across from Innerarity Point over into Josephine. And we're presenting these as rational ideas. Oh, 4-laning the 4-laning River Road was one of them. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be very personally against that because that's where I live. And I do like that bike path. We're putting out these ideas, these alternatives. When you're talking like that, it's because the program that you're trying to push simply doesn't make any sense. And you're not selling it. Not a person, the people here weren't buying it. And then when they asked the citizen input question, they said, assuming that one of these choices must be taken, which one do you think is the most logical? Well, of all of those choices, the only one that was even remotely logical was the predetermined solution of 4-laning 292. So then at TPO, they stood up and they said 66% of respondents think this is the best idea. Folks, we're being dishonest in the discussion about it. The reality is the traffic today, and if you look at the Atkins study from '07 along with the updates from 12 and 14, the Atkins study is just at its very basic, it's flawed. It was designed and has been used to get us to a predetermined solution. The fact of the matter is we don't need a 4-lane out there now. We do need calming measures. Don't need a 4-lane now, but we do need some changes. And with the development cap that's in place now, we will never need a 4-lane. Not my words, Andres Duane's traffic professional's words. Thank you.
And the question again is, are you for or against widening to 4 lanes for Sorrento Road, Blue Angel Highway, Goldfish Highway, and Perdido Key Drive? And the second part of the question is, if elected, how would you propose to elevate the Rarity Point Road causeway?
Well, I'm not sure that how I would attack Innerarity, the causeway. I'm not an engineer. I want to be a commissioner, and I know a commissioner can sit on a TPO, a transportation advisory board. Okay, planning. Thank you, Barbara. You know, sometimes we get caught up in acronyms and then you lose them when you try to explain them. Absolutely. But you know, I hate that the word widening has to be followed by 4-laning. Okay, there certainly are sections of Perdido Key Drive that I think could use a little widening. I want to see pedestrian paths on it. I'd love to see bike paths on it. I haven't been out there with a tape measure, you know, to see what exactly it would take to do that along this road. But you know, I think we have to get past certain things in our past, like this master plan. It no longer exists. It was done away with by the county commission. So I think we have to move past it. I know that hurts some people's feelings, but we have to move past this. We have to take a look at what's happening now. I spoke to Mr. DeBrise, who is our current FDOT representative today. I spoke to him today because I knew this would come up. Sorrento Road and Blue Angel are the next projects to be done. But you know, funding is still not there. And this is a big part of what will happen or won't happen in our county. There is no funding for Perdido Key Drive right now. So the idea that this is so contentious, and I know that a lot of people, there are people that want it widened. There are businesses that do want this done. And there are a lot of people that don't. But there is also, there is not the power of a commissioner to walk into the office and say no to it. That doesn't happen. You have to be pretty darn powerful, in his words, as a commissioner, to be able to sway a whole TPO and put your fist down and say, I won't have this happen in my community. That doesn't happen. You know, we have to build rapport with our other commissioners. We have to build rapport. You know, the TPO is not just Escambia County. It's Santa Rosa County, it's Alabama. It consists of a lot of people. It's the city also is represented on it. You know, we don't have the power to say no to things. What we do have the power to do is have input on them. And we can all agree on that. So, Sorrento and then Blue Angel. Yes, you know, Blue Angel is a northwest corridor to the Navy base and eventually Pine Forest Road and the interstate. That is an important road to have 4 lanes. Those are key or strategic, there's another acronym there, strategic routes that are hurricane evacuation routes. Perdido Key Drive is not something they're considering as a hurricane evacuation route. It is not. People would go the other way and get on that north south corridor to get out of here to the interstate. That makes a lot more sense. Then the next would be, we talked about Gulf Beach Highway. I've talked to some businesses as I went out campaigning. Gulf Beach Highway, they want to see that 4-lane. They would love people to have easier access into their businesses. I would love to see sidewalks on that also. That is so dangerous. It is so dangerous. So many people walk on that at night as I drive back from Perdido. Lighting on that, very important issues. But you know, even as safe as you make it, people will continue to cross where they want to cross. There was a death, I left here, the end of September, early October. A 51-year-old person decided to cross the road just shy of a crosswalk, and there was no median in the road for them to step up on, and they got hit by a car and they died at the scene. I stress over that. You know, you have to have a safe place for people to cross the road. You can't make them cross at a crosswalk, but if they're not going to, you have to have a safe place in the middle of the road. Suicide lanes are dangerous. I don't like those. So we need to look to remove those from our streets. 4 crosswalks are coming here on Perdido Key. The first one will be at that very big curve, and I know that Tina mentioned that that was coming up as a question, that was a concern for you down here, and that will be one where you push a button and it lights up, hopefully to slow traffic down, and people will be able to cross. Not every crosswalk will be like that, but there will be 3 additional ones down Perdido Key Drive towards the Floribama. So I hope that answers the question. Thank you.